Friday, 22nd of February, just going on 4 p.m. in the afternoon on the east coast of Australia where I am, and it's going on midnight on the east coast of the United States for those of you who are interested in this Aussie news. I'm doing this movie to thank you for the feedback I got in the comments about the possibility of starting an Aussie channel. I think what we'll do here, just thinking about it, is we'll try to do 1 or 2 a week, and it won't be my primary focus. My primary focus for everyone who's been following me now for some time will remain the draining of the swamp. We'll see how we go. We'll play it by ear. Anyway, I just want to bring to your attention because this wasn't intended to bring you some news, but I was just looking at what's happening on the Australian news front, and I see this story here is the number one story. China, not Iran, still the main prospect in hacking of Australia's political parties, and this is a big story. And it's putting fear at every level. There's people being interviewed on TV, and telling us that things are never safe, and your medical information, all your other stuff, because everything about you is on a computer, and it's held by the Australian government somewhere. China, not Iran, still the main suspect of hacking of Australia's political parties, says sources. Okay, whatever those sources are. So this is a lengthy story. It's well worth a read, but this is giving you the official version. The Age in the Australia newspaper scene is a mainstream media paper. But there's this guy called Eli Priest. He's an Australian. He's been pushing Barrow, Nugent Bank and other things for some time now. Went through 8chan and whatever. And now he's back. And he has said that he is responsible for the hacking. He shows them how he used the emails to get the information and how he hacked. He's even given the government a statutory declaration to the effect that it was him that did it. And he's recently put up a video showing that he hasn't even been questioned by our authorities. So they either think he's a major nutter and they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, or they want to be able to spread a story of fear. And I'm inclined to think it's the second way around. I'm going to leave you some this site here, which is his site. It's poorly put together. Sorry, Eli, but it's poorly put together. But you can read here. He says, on Thursday, 7th of February, you became aware of an anomalous and sensitive data exchange from a non-secured email address outside of your parliamentary and defence network server systems. Sensitive information about the relationships of Prime Minister Scott Morrison was also leaked into these communications, creating the impression that despite the non-secured, non-verified email address, that the information leak was an internal one, or a potential state actor who had gained forced entry to Parliament's servers. This miscalculation and gross mistake on the part of some members of the Australian Defence Force was the ignition point for what would follow. And you can scroll across. This is his statutory declaration. His name is actually Peter Alexander Richard Priest. His alias is Eli Priest. Don't know why shading comes up. But anyway, you can read here. You can pause it if you like. And here he tells you what hardware he utilised, how he actually did it, who he hacked, the result. The attack was perfect, went perfectly to plan. Well, let's start again. His aim was to remove communication barriers between the Department of Defence senior officers, Secret Intelligence Service personnel and parliamentarians, and to use a process of force majeure on the Five Eyes spy network to compel its varied jurisdictions to communicate and share the data with each variable partner agency, data that I had placed in the network, thus performed an interception-like strategy on the narrative at the highest levels of state and international power. Now, just for the Americans in my audience, this would be the equivalent of someone hacking into the FBI, I would suggest, to spark a national security leak within Australia around the Nugan Bank. This is his barrow, as I mentioned. CIA cocaine and collateral accounts, and forced discussion in the 2009 Federal Reserve Bank to Reserve Bank global SWIFTs. You can see what he did here. He did a phishing attack. He impersonated a national security advisor working in the Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet Office, closely with the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. He refers to himself as Priest in the third person. He creates a sense of urgency. He put in a key documents that spoke as if the security breach had already occurred and the data was leaking to the press. I used personal knowledge I gained in the field about Prime Minister Morrison's friendship circles, close media contacts and anything else required to convince or dupe Australian signals directed General Burgess, that's who he got, and Australian Cyber Security Centre Chief Alistair McGibbon. So he basically fooled the head of these organisations that I am an official source using an unverified means to protect the Phantom's identity and job. As I said, I'll leave a link. He even gives us the all of the emails that we used to perform the thing. Now, look, he may be a great storyteller. I've got no idea. I'm putting this up because this is ridiculous. Here in Australia, we're being this is a scaremongering coming up because of, what we'll need to fix things in the and that it's just a spend fest, and it's not necessary. So one just to keep an eye on to get our new series going. Have a good one, guys.